Hello, this is Alphabet Decipher. This is Language Decipher of the word slash value Thursday. Tell high, your rising, C's diffusions alpha Y. Now this is R, letter slash value R, stands for raising and rising differentially and or together in relationship to an identity of value progression, the identity of relativity that led ancient sciences, that revealed languages before this, and revealed sciences before they became criminally foreign influenced as victims of a method that knew they were going to blame other things, others themselves, for the causes of it, making them need to react to it, but not knowing how. And then they could defend. Then they would have to defend that, rolls with that, as styles of self-valued, criminally foreign influence premises treatments, sequence treatments, finite, active, and progressive fact treatment nature treatments, and identity thefts, frauds, and worse than war crimes, little simple organized crime method, breaching method role using human fact treatment nature. So originally and still we have witch trials. Originally and still we have people they made legitimate mistakes in cases, be able to fix it right away. What kind of a punishments would people ask for if someone took someone, put them in a jail, put them in, locked them up? You know, against their will, obviously, but making things up to do that. We have falsified transcripts that were all reported having used Congress remotely, having used each identity ground. I'll gather around Department of Homeland Security before it was the Department of Homeland Security. It was INS. On off, involved with on off Fox Connecticut News, buildings next to them, involved with the intercampuses of each age and nature simultaneously with private databases stewards, kept needing to hide the same lie progressions, kept needing to hide the same finite lies, sequence shifts, finite lies, active lies, progressive lies, identity theft lies, not just lies, involved with evidence crimes, evidence crime methods, shock and awe roles, with torture of the human fact treatment nature by a breaching method self-valued by that which the identities of the branches themselves, therefore, and where and how the identity works, all the parts of all the identities of your body, all the cells, all the identities, the organs, as complete identities of value. They are simultaneously semi-nature relationship to your complete identity. Each individual of the species body of volume is an individual complete identity by itself, because one identity will only stay complete identity. The way it's increasing, only increasing, positive or negative to itself, automatically as temporary positive. So we are a quality of diffusion, not just to the extent of our body, but as a gaining identity of forever nature, which has an identity of relationship to itself. Again, where we are semi-nature. This is what really the identity of reality demonstrates to us. This is why we have groups, ages, areas, sexes. What is physically manifest as male and female. This is metaphysically manifest as alpha and omega. See alpha in the word alphabet, the root of the word alphabet. So, what we have to do, I'm trying to speak loud. It's making me off tone. People don't like to hear that. But it's because I have to I have to use the microphone or something to make it so you can speak lighter and be heard. Because it does make a difference till I have time to do a proper sound system. But each letter of the English alphabet spells out a word, and that word spells out a sentence. A stands for alpha. The word alpha spells out the sentence. Alpha longs. Alpha longs, peoples. High. Alpha. Now, high and low has to do with with all that is tied actually to why and how the ancients actually revealed English letters to be drawn. There is the phenomenon. There is demonstrably, plausibly, more probably, many ways. When you the phenomena of the ancients, where we have records of what and how they had disputes about, and then they came to agreements about how to draw the letters of the English alphabet. For example, because of how the sciences share an identity, because of how that is involved with a breaching method that was and is using human fact-cheating nature. No, it is an identity of the ground relationship to itself with no criminal foreign influences. Only know how the rest of Earth has no criminal foreign influences. Note how the beauty of the natural Native American landscape has been going down since before our founding parents were born, per this breaching method entrenched here and already entrenched there. Per the surface identities of nations here, not by accident worse than criminal incompetence. The exceptions where there were individuals here, like Connecticut was colonized by England. That's a truth. But it has only been used as a truth to lie. Because it was the real simple science. Individually grouped and together, nations were criminally foreign influenced and delusions wrought. And roles pretending other with positive and negative as criminal insidiousness natures. Which is all that is with the evidences and demonstration of how we are only temporary positive. See, but for example, criminal insidiousness nature, an identity of someone who committed a predicate act, who's involved with predicate acts delivery system method. They become more different methods of an interest and self-valued roles. With the breaching method, identity grounds, all identity ground locations, leveraged against every single person, individually, grouped, and together. Sickly, distinctly, effectively having kept to keep and having kept how sickly non-distinctly from being discerned. Not one has learned. And it is simultaneously. We can't help this being simultaneously. This is per the identity of value progression that generated physics. That had to be generated. See, physics, science with actually no criminally foreign influence premises treatments, identity ground treatments, sequence treatments. Did I say identity treatments? So this revealed a quality of this revealed how to cause evolution's fruits and gifts. But by enabling its identity of relationship to itself to advance here. So this ancient archetypal criminal enterprise knew that if it could make the phenomenon of latter semi-ancient nations um, blame blame other things, others themselves, for predicate acts and for wrongdoing, for criminal and insidious natures they would have to react to, then they can make them defend those reactions, as they did with witch trials. They had to counter predicate acts, the causes of them here. They had to counter criminal insidiousness, the causes of it here. They had to counter wrongdoing on a mass scale, increasingly, and they didn't know how to do it. So they had to charge groups wrong. They had to make them witches. Then they had to defend that. Simultaneously, they had to self-value further and further, can't defend that and afford having discerned how and why the predicate is act of the law is named the predicate act, and how and why the predicate of English is named the predicate really. The sciences share an identity. That ratiocination and that pseudo-ratiocination share simultaneously. It's one thing to have needs for experts, to pretend not to realize that those experts are not real are instead are furthering what to pretend not to realize that they're furthering what they're supposed to be against, like FBI. Correlation never honest law with no criminal physical delusions raw. With correlation by what really caused negative value nature, where we have shootings all the time, areas, people stacking, means to it. The alternative is a suburban pathology of homes here to Russia, the same exact one, since before cars, since before our founding parents were born, this trap that they knew could only cause negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures, because nature system will demonstrate loss of its perfected system with no criminal foreign influences. So we have knowledge getting over on correlation nature. Who knows the most facts about American history? They're recorded. It's very simple to discern. Self-valued rolls with the identity theft of James Madison. Rolls with the identity theft of America itself, simultaneously pretending to be other. Misprision. Now that already did that, and that already had the high light progressions from that. And as that, in relationship to each age of correlation, nature is actually inherent, active, and progressive means, and with sequence true. And outside of this identity trap, where identity is an identity of volume that is only increasing, its identity of relationship to itself is distinct from the air, with the gases inside it, distinct, each one a distinct identity of volume with a distinct identity of relationship to itself. It's not oxygen alone that is pure, that is positive to us. Is the proper mixture. And so we have the cause of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures being the loss of the finite order, of the active order, of the sequence order that is increasingly valued to the mechanics of this invisible but still discernible identity of value progression. Only the extent of it is debatable, but offensively, originally and still, we have recorded scientific consensus and scientific process criminally foreign influenced, falsified transcripts, cover ups of them, offensively preventing mandated law, preventing logic with no criminal foreign influences and with no physical delusions from using its actually inherent active and progressive means, again with sequence true. And with identities means beyond even individual grouped and the entire species working together. If we all agree to be stay tactically ulterior from the identity of value progression's actual system as reality, actually saying sequence true. Forgiveness is for this because of how each modern nation needs to pretend integrity with and through countering bodies to things like wars, all kinds of standing threats that there are too many things in a day to list, and everyone will go nuts. Not by accident, because they already came through these campuses of each age and nature and stature, had nothing from off their campuses maintained collusion with this. These are identities of the ground, self-valued, abridged constitution. See, we have Faith Care puts his arm around the president and stabs him because he's just defending sense and sensibilities of lawyers and of the bar itself, criminally foreign influence, delusions, raw. They're going to pretend like not that like these nations don't extort each other. They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated a whole bunch of nations how on their social cultural locations they tie that into their. I haven't been to them. They tie that to their confessions. Same the nations in the news pretending to be against extortion involved with our database stewards. This keeps war and fact-cheating defenses of reactions to things really sick they have to counter in collusion with it. This is remote uses of each identity, the ground location. It's very overtly simple to discern, just as that insidious about it. See, we have the insidious misprision identities, just like all the many identities of the one body, all the cells, all the identities of organs, systems, semi-nature relationship to the one identity, complete identity. This is what it's about. An identity, the ground relationship to what is self-generating, how it is self-generating, as its own identity of volume, separated from itself. This is Earth's distinct and non-distinct identity of relationship to the rest of space nature. It is space nature's body. This is where and how identity stays bigger than everything. And while it stays small, the phenomenon is smaller than it generates temporary / lasting forever nature to make more of its identity of volume. This is not just theory. The evidences are what are with theory offensively dishonest because we have scientific consensus and scientific process and falsified transcripts and wire crimes and mail crimes if you try to complain about this. No, they have conspiracy theories. Our nation and other nations pretend conspiracy theories against people. And they put fake transcripts. They even put people into fake communications that never were ever. Like with me and an older Mendez police brother on the Weathersfield Police Department. Now they did this since before those child offenders. I caught them with child offenders, even sexual, even medical, and dozens of people from the New Britain Superior Court and their family members, and Hartford courts and their family members, and the ones of people that work for them through time, leading up to the World Trade Center criminally involved, and in it. They want to pretend this is personal because they have to pretend I was in locations and conversations with people that went to private schools that didn't even go to my school. Where they also went in a pattern where they came into my school and pretended they knew me. I didn't understand the connections of it, but it's relevant to my new and past neighbors involved with the Dillon family and Anna Dillon and a Sean Dillon, with also interbranch private with people on Park Street, with people on off my street, involved with overt criminal enterprises, involved with predicate acts with them, mail crime, wire crime, interbranch forging names and switching names, individually grouped and together. Each individual of the branches, recorded how I kept needing to hide it. The people from the Britain Superior Court that said they know me from Central Connecticut State University, they sought me out to make confessions and demonstrations. They want to pretend I know them. I don't even know their names. I know one woman named Vicky. Now, these are people with dozens of people from my town. I don't know what town they live in, but that's New Britain alone. They're involved intercities leading up to the World Trade Center from my town interbranch families, and a whole bunch of other nations. Like now, so the extortion has nothing to do. I don't have to know anything about what they're doing in Ukraine, what they're doing in Russia. The homes in Russia are recorded criminally foreign influenced. Russians are victims of the same exact thing we are here. We're in the same ancient trap that came since before modern religions messengers. Greatly about that trap, not by accident. They have physical delusions about, in other words, when it comes to speaking for the law, when it comes to speaking for how you're supposed to speak about what Jesus Christ was about, what the Quran is about the wrongdoers described in the beginning of the Quran. People, and worse. So we must all rehearse. So this is Decipher of Thursday. Tell. You could say telling. So we'll examine this. Tell high. You're rising. You're raising. C's diffusions alpha Y. And that inherent question is why you're trying to figure things out. Y comes right before Z. And right between Z and X. Extinction. X is the only word, the only letter. We add an E before with this decipher. Comes after the body. This is not energy. Energy alone, anything that can be discerned alone as its complete identity, is negative value nature. You have to discern. We are discerning this identity that is simultaneously, and how it is simultaneous. And there is our means to do this because of how it is only increasing identity of volume, only increasing identity of relationship to itself, only increasing value of that simultaneously. The Trinity is about this, but it is about it all ways. Like, in other words, anywhere there is an identity of value progression as each individual is, there are two identities of possession on both sides of us. As this quality of diffusion we are. Positive or negative. Simultaneously to each identity of volume of itself. Now, this is where one identity, its identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that is its one identity's increasing identity of volume. And then that made manifest the value of that as three identities of volume as value that are bonded by the spine of identity that keeps them the same volume, the same identity of volume distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, and increasingly. An inherent subnature of volume, an active subnature of volume, and a progressive subnature of volume, bonded by each identity, thank God, our shared identity of value progression. Only the extent of it is debatable. Again, we have offensively being debated what is not debatable, but with criminally foreign influence premises treatment, sequence treatments, self-value databases, and crimes and crime rolls from there. So it's to all locations. People don't even realize it. You better understand the difference between what criminally legalized, criminal insidious natures say is positive and is justice. The difference between that and what is a native voice, as each soul is, no matter who you are, with no criminal foreign influence. This is evolution science. This identity of value progression's identity of relationship to itself and the value of that is what causes evolution's fruits and gifts and means. And the Santa Claus to soon be read at once. Species body value. Species body can get gifts. Santa Claus. T for the E at the end of Santa's name. We'll play this game. See how they put St. Nicholas in prison when they had already criminally foreign influence identity ground locations, all of them. Every modern nation. The religions, they came about. They didn't win. Like revolution, even Revolutionary War. The war didn't win revolution. The slavery was left. Not just slavery was left. Simultaneously, everyone blamed on other things other than themselves. Hid the still entrenched breaching method, breaching screen tools. Everyone, victim predators. Forgiveness is for this: to have a quality of fact, treatment nature capable of speaking for the law. We have all fake sides of correlation natures, Trinity. How it is a Trinity. Pantheism about the one identity that the science isn't that all things share. Per science, in demonstration to the many nations of the species body of value, to the many people, A1 through Z, however many people there are. The ancients revealed how languages, the alphabets have bonded these our sounds with an identity of relationship to themselves and the value of that in demonstration of this. Again, the scientists share this identity, Bach sings. So no one follows mandated law. People from our past that we never had anything to do with, all exceptions recorded or even involved with World Trade Center attack, predicate acts. So they can't speak it on paper. They've been using Facebook to hide life progressions, even offensively, per the various natures of courts and Wethersfield Police, former director of the FBI, his co-defendants kids, their families, their streets, involved with the same house over here, further with extended family members, identity theft roles with them, falsified police report roll, and with a principal child offender, and with the untimely deaths that brought that up to me, and with the wire crimes and fake conversation with me, fake location of me and other people that Wethersfield Police, Intercities Police Forms, and the ones associated with the news companies put me in relationship to. Who's going to do business with someone when they have to complain about child sex offenders and things online repeatedly because they lie about what's recorded over the phones? There's an officer poison. You have little jerk punks with guns with their hands. We have coward men with child sex offenders indifferent to it, with a whole bunch of people, dozens of people in the Britain Superior Court, with this officer Poisian, with my town's police chief, with a whole with the other people involved with it. You stack the names too. They have a Joshua Julian. These are also houses and their extended family members with the child offenders involved with predicate acts, with forensics locations, with the transition from ACA to RICO. This is also the remote uses of Congress recorded through time. Offensively, they were reading statutes offensively. We'll examine this. So you have to get them onto paper because the courts are pretending they don't realize exceptions when they are recorded caught. You can't sue the court various on off the state judicial branch offices is all the courts involved. You can't sue against that. They're forging and switching names. You can't counter the crime methods with them just faking fake conversations into databases. A whole bunch of men and women in and tied to and as a Leahy family attached me to fake conversations with themselves since I was a kid. Their roles with predicate acts through kids on off campuses. These are bonded natures of organized crime with the kids. It's no joke. You have military police involved with predicate acts with them, for forging names of doctors, faking as these Leahy families involved with doctors, nurses, foreign and domestic, with right through administrations with World Trade Center attack predicate acts roles, and with victims of the family members. And also involved with the predicate acts, with people associated with this Leahy family, Wethersfield Police. They forge and switch names at the branch, and then down to the roles with the locations criminally. It's tied to their crimes recorded with the databases at their campuses. They have the Facebook pages of the Britain Superior Court, of Hartford courts. They have the Facebook pages of child campuses involved with very bad crimes. I don't care if it's former director of the FBI down or death around. I don't care if it's judges. That means nothing. That's what's actually recorded. So get them the one name in sequence because that's also recorded and confessed and demonstrated. They forge names and switch names. Then they use the time and positions to put fake things into databases. It is recorded they have been affecting my reception by other people online. They have fake Facebook pages pretending to be me, fake YouTube pages pretending to be me. The same one with the interbranch and on off New Britain Superior Court, predicate acts with child sex offenders, on off the leaders of the kids. Further, then and now, respond to me, respond for them, respond for them. Then they had two more times they brought me for mental evaluation force because I caught them with these games where everyone's speaking to other with this Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors, with confessions with this. Two families on child sex offender registry, also involved on off with locations on off Central Connecticut State University with them, which is in the Britain, Connecticut, interstate, intercities, and along routes. Now they have the sense and sensibilities of people recorded influences to crime with the judges and prosecutors and their kids. That's evidence. They use former Governor Malloy. They recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They told lies with former Governor Malloy. They stole my voice with the media, told lies with former Governor Malloy. They had town meeting in my town with parents involved with crimes with untimely deaths and child sex offenders. And that just got found off campuses, and they were lying about what is actually recorded on the phones. They've been coached. He's talking about conspiracy theory. No one's talking about their sequence shifts. They're fake transcripts. They're fake communications with me. People that went to my school, but I never had a class with them. Never saw them around. Never hung around with them, pretending other. Roles with wire crimes. They were criminally foreign influence too long. Too many nations are involved with this with them. They don't have right. They don't have integrity here and there. Suits and tie. Fake. Officer Poison. Respond. Then he hides. Where's his email? This guy's delusion's raw. I want to know what he looks like too. I mean, they have fake Facebook pages, fake YouTube pages. They lie about what is recorded on the phones. They put me in fake communications with people from my town as the Wethersfield police officer in the police department. They have abuses of women and of little girls and boys, intercities, and men, because they're fake men. So they have to start fights so they can go to the courts that are stuck with them, need to hide live aggressions. Need to hide all the decisions they made, recorded worthless with them, more sicker than anyone they ever came across. That's not emotions and passions. They can't speak honestly about emotions and passions. You miss the course of reality. You miss free speech. You miss religious rights. You miss our identity not to be stolen by these sick fakes. You miss the remote. These are recorded evidences. They're pretending, oh, that's evidence. We don't understand because we're entertaining these evidences we already did. This is mandated law they've been preventing, not by accident with the police chief that was on the Bravo commercial right before the this year's New Year's Eve celebration in New York City. With the police department further involved with the FBI and CIA, with their family members, with federal criminals involved with predicate acts on off my street through time, like mail crime, wire crime, roles with untimely deaths, falsified police reports. Now, these are people with the prisons and the prison stewards and their family members also involved with identity thefts, frauds, sequence shifts, falsified police reports with them. They pretend other. Oh, but that was just influence. No, hundreds of ways. They have all kinds of overt criminal enterprises. You can't see those sick fakes associated with Maria Fazina and her husband with Wethersfield Pizza, with the north end of Hartford, from my town, Wethersfield, into Branch, right on off the state judicial branch offices. No other right around the corner from them. They have problems with NAFTA, DACA. All that was involved with this other method of organized crime that has a whole bunch of methods of liars bonded, breaching screens and tools. Don't care about your cultures. When it comes down to it, no one cares about anything. Federal mandated law. That's how you see who cares. You fakes. Now CT breaks. Right now.